Hey guys, how you doing? We're back for another whiskey review. This time we're going to be doing a blended Scotch, and it's a very well-known one. It's a brand that's very well established. It's been around for a long, long time. This is J&B, Justerini and Brooks is what it stands for, and this is their rare. Now they also have a couple other sort of expressions in their lineup. They have a 12-year-old called Jet. They have a 15-year-old called Reserve, and they have one called Exception that is apparently a France-only product that is pure malt instead of a combination of malts and grain whiskeys, which is this one here, which is a combination of no less than 42, which is not something I would probably brag about because... wow, that's way too many. But, yeah, this is a world-famous brand, probably as well-known, especially in TV and film, as Canadian Club would be. If you look at just about any old European exploitation film, or any sort of film, really, from Europe in the last 30... well, from about the 60s to the 80s or so, maybe even a bit farther in, you'll see this almost everywhere. It'll be the Scotch that everyone's drinking. If you're a fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, this is the Scotch that MacReady, Kurt Russell's character, constantly is drinking. So it's very, very popular. Apparently it's the number one whiskey in Europe. That might be different now. I'm going by 2008 numbers, apparently. And it's, at that time, it was the number 3 whiskey in the world. And most of its popularity is it's credited to Spain these days. Apparently very, very popular in Spain. But yeah, here we go. Now, from doing a little bit of research, it seems like maybe they've changed their recipe up in the last few years. To the point where some people seem to drastically hate this now, but we'll see. I have had this before, but it was a long, long time ago, so I don't remember anything about it, and it was just a small bit, so it's not like I ever owned a bottle of this. So it's a very light golden color, and there is caramel coloring in this, apparently, which isn't surprising for such a mass-produced brand name. They want to maintain consistency with their blend. They want to have a sort of a product consistency, so that's kind of why that happens. And, when you're dealing with 42 different malts and grains, and you're changing ones in and out every once in a while, you could run into problems with color. So they're just making sure that it's always consistent. I bought this for $27.49, I want to say, at the NSLC. This is about as cheap as it gets for a $7.50 of any sort of Scotch. It is, of course, an economy budget brand, and you can get it for much, much cheaper probably in some other countries, especially like the U.S. The U.S., I imagine, is probably closer to $20 or under. All right, go right to the aroma. It's very simple. It's not a lot of complexity going on here, despite the fact that there's 42 different things in it. Kind of briny and a little smoky. There's a bit of a peat smoke character to it. It's got kind of a sea, maritime character to it. So it seems like it's maybe a little bit more heavy on the sort of peaty whiskeys. There is a bit of a space side kind of fruitiness going on as well, though. And just grain, sort of nondescript malt grain kind of thing going on as well. I'm going to stand up with this. My feet are killing me today. All right. So yeah, it smells pretty good. Does not smell sickly sweet or anything like that, which some of these lower budget kind of whiskeys can tend to do. They seem to have a nice balance going on at the very least on the nose. So now we're going to go right to the taste. Cheers. That wasn't from the whiskey. All right. So it's definitely sweeter on the taste, but it's not as sweet as I was kind of expecting, as some people were warning me it was. There is a decent little balance of that sort of briny, salty kind of character. A little bit more peat smoke in the back as well. And the sweetness is kind of your nondescript, standard kind of malt, sort of grainy sweetness. It's not too intense, it's not too sweet, it's not particularly in any sort of fruit category or anything like that. It's not, sort of leaning to dark fruits or light fruits or anything like that. It's just kind of a almost neutral kind of malty sweetness, if you understand what I'm saying there. Maybe a little sugary would be the best way to say it. It's a bit viscous, a bit more viscous than I expected, honestly. So it does have a bit of a syrupy quality, and if it was any sweeter, that would be a big sort of detractor for this, I think, because then you would be starting to feel like you're just sort of drinking like pure, like golden corn syrup or something like that. But no, I'm actually pretty happy with the balance here. Maybe they've tweaked the formula even more since apparently everyone said they had tweaked the formula and ruined it. Maybe they've sort of gone back to fixing it a little bit. But it's perfectly acceptable, perfectly fine stuff. As I drink it a bit more, the sweetness does come out a little bit more. It's starting to become a bit more fruity. Maybe somewhere in the apple kind of scale. So I'm kind of thinking that's where the sort of Speyside kind of half of this is coming in. But I'm still getting enough sort of smokiness at the end. Sort of getting that pipe ash kind of, just very tiny, small kind of pipe ash kind of character, and I like it. It's nothing special. It's just a kind of a whiskey to have around. If I was given the choice, I probably would not buy this again. I would just go for Johnny Walker or something like that, because that's going to give me more peat, and that's what I want in my if I'm going to buy a budget economy brand Scotch. I'd probably go for Johnny Walker. But as it stands, this is pretty good stuff, and I'm going to give it a solid C+. So yeah, it's actually worth checking out if you're low on cash and you want a decent, smooth drinking Scotch without a lot of complexity that will do the trick at 40%. I believe I forgot to mention that. 80 proof, 40%, of course, standard kind of blend alcohol level. So, okay, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back again sometime with another whiskey review. And until then, adios.